Hello, welcome back to the basement of Accidental Theatre. I am down here with artist, musician extraordinaire Aga Olek, who's going to, we're going to have a quick chat about you and your work and what's up.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Yeah, Aga was just performing, it feels like a week ago, but I'm pretty sure it's 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah, it's been almost 2 weeks, yes, yeah.
2 weeks ago in Handmade Music. It was the first Handmade Music that we've hosted here of a new section of experimental music nights on Thursdays, on the first Thursdays of each month. And you were performing with Sunsept.
Yes.
A brand new collaboration, I believe.
Yeah, it was the first time we were actually performing our work, which we've done over the period of COVID together. So it was very exciting for this reason, and also as this was the first night, first experimental night, so many first times, and it was a great joy for us to be able to actually meet on stage, because of course most of the cooperation happened virtually, so we barely had a chance to properly meet and play, and it was a great opportunity, and it's always different when you bring a project to live on stage. And it changes the way you perceive it. It's just a different experience to feel the music around you and to present it to the audience. So we had a great time. I'm still living through it and still emotional, even though it's been almost 2 weeks.
Because Barry Joseph Cullen, who was also on that night, he liked to talk when we did an interview not too long ago. He loved to talk about how his music changes with each performance event or live event that he's doing. He likes to kind of always respond to the audience around him, and that changes how the music kind of comes out. So this is kind of even more so, I suppose, for this particular piece, because it's done through lockdown, inspired by lots of those kind of events of shutdown, of closure, and then all of a sudden the freedom of first performance on stage. Yes,
plus also it's the way it was made, created and composed. It has made it impossible to recreate 100% the way it's been when you hear it on the album. Yes, so we had to also be creative and find the best solutions to keep both the architecture of the pieces that became quite complex through Liam's input and through his production and through his ideas. And also to be able to recreate what I did partly as an improvisation, because some of the pieces were recorded in a way that Liam asked me to not to listen to the material at all before I'm going to record. It was a great challenge to me, because I am a natural improviser, and that was really something that I felt like, yes, I like that challenge. So I actually turned recording on, and this was the actual time when I heard some of the material, and I was recording on the go, and a few pieces were actually built like that. So for the purpose of the performance, I had to then learn my own improvisations, which was challenging, but also it was quite surprising, because you wouldn't think sometimes that what you've improvised would actually have such a nice structure to it. I was surprised with my own ability to come up with ideas who are really structured once I revisited them and tried to relearn them, for the purpose of the concert. So yeah, that was a good discovery as well.
Brilliant. So just to kind of move past Handmade a little bit and tell us, so for those who weren't at the concert and they have no context of who you are and what you perform and what your contribution to the piece. So tell us a little bit about who is Aga, who is Pin Sleep, which I believe is
yes.
the real moniker I should be using.
There is Aga, of course, and there is Pin Sleep, which is my alter ego, and it's actually somewhat based on a character from a sci-fi book. Yeah, it's a sci-fi tetralogy called Głębia, which means depth in English, by a Polish sci-fi writer, Marcin Podlewski, and I really got fascinated with this book. And Pin Sleep is an actual astronavigator, so she is basically living on a spaceship and navigating through stars. So this concept really spoke to me, as I'm actually kind of a traveler through genres in a way, and also quite at times lonely in my adventures. So this, and that's because I have a classical background. I have always been, I am a classically trained musician. So I've been playing music since the age of 3. Went through all this like classical strict education in Poland all the way to the university. And then I've been a member of orchestras, chamber groups, yes, worked a bit as a soloist as well. All sorts of classically related activities. But then I actually discovered quite late the great need to create, and that actually the creative side is more interesting to me than the like reaching for perfection through crafting and then me playing someone else's material. Yeah, so
I've always kind of wondered that for those who play in an orchestra, what is the excitement, the drive to perform in that way? Because you are, you know, I mean, a slave to someone else's work is definitely not the right term. But from a layman like myself looking at it, you know, you're demanded, as you said, a level of perfection in performance, and such a hard thing to attain for someone else in some way. So what drives it, and therefore what's the difference between that and what you're doing now?
You know, I think for someone who went through such a way as myself, as you know, many people in Poland, because this is a pretty typical way of becoming a professional musician in Poland, yes, starting at such early age. I don't think part of it is not a conscious choice, because how can you actually consciously choose this path at the age of 6? And this is where you are passing, in Poland at least, an exam to a state music school. And at this point you are like either being on board or you are being eliminated, and you are being told, okay, you are most likely to make it at the age of 6, yes, or not. So, you know, it's hard to say, because once you are drawn into this, and it's like, you know, a sports school, or it's like with ballet, with, you know, with football, something like this. You are just, I just lived, I was breathing music and this environment, and I was always, you know, trying to do my best. Yeah. And there was a lot of competitiveness in all of that since an early age. So, you know, so this was just the only thing I knew.
It's interesting because it's one of those fascinating things I think artists often have to wrestle with, because I know myself in my own choice when I came out of training, there's growing up in Northern Ireland, there's this feeling of being cut off and feeling of, you know, do I stack up artistically against the rest of the world, or, you know, am I wanting to do, is what I'm doing any good, or is it just a provincial piece of crap? And as soon as I got into training and trained as a director, I was opened up to an entirely different world, but that world was often on rails for a certain type of artistic lifestyle. You had to be a certain type of director, direct Shakespeare, direct certain types of things, and I decided not to do that and kind of come back and do my own work. And it seems like a fascinating thing to be trapped in such a creative form, but having to be on that kind of rail pathway, and you don't get any recognition if you're not on a certain pathway. I don't know if that chimes at all with where you've chosen now to go in some ways.
Yeah, certainly. It's very interesting. Yes. It's all part of this, because you are, as a musician, like orchestra musician, for example, yes, as we mentioned, you are part of something very creative, and you are officially an artist, yes, in a way. You're being paid to, you know, this is what you make your living of, and it's all great, yes. But for me personally, I realized that I was in a sort of a bubble, because I couldn't speak, I couldn't have like my own voice, and it felt like a trap, specifically with the classical music environment. It was part of it. What was also that it was quite an elitist trap. So I was striving for something more of a real connection with my audience, and I always felt this sort of distance and all these expectations and certain conventions, and so I should be looking like this, and I should be, you know, playing like this, and there wasn't much space for self-expression and really like a relaxed way of enjoying the music. So there was a lot of tension, a lot of competition. Of course, it was also very beautiful, and it has all formed me the way I am now. So I always see the pros and cons. But actually, since like quite a few years now, like something like 7 years, all I am trying to pursue is like to actually show that I can be a violinist, but at the same time I can be a singer-songwriter using the violin. So I really want to be connected. Yes, I want to be closer to the audience. I want also the music to be, in a way, simple. Like I strive for simplicity, because I've been, through a lot of, I've learned a lot of about different musical styles, and I played lots of contemporary music. So I've seen and experienced lots of complicated music. Yes, complex ideas. So that's why my form of experiment is actually simplicity and communication. So
it's interesting. I don't think people quite understand how brave it is to leave. You've achieved at 6, you've been given the okay, you're in an orchestra. How brave it is to actually move out into a completely independent world. So it's a good, all hats off to you for jumping into
I'm actually
that.
very often realizing still how brave it is, and that's what I said before, that it actually in many ways has been quite a lonely path since then.
Yeah,
because it is not, especially with being grown, yes, within the environment, you have your status as a musician, and then actually you have to you kind of lose it, and you have to prove it from a completely different point of view.
Because artists also tend to form little families around the specific piece or the specific group that they're working with. So in theatre, you form a little family around the show that you're making. I'm assuming with orchestras it's similar. You form a group around the orchestra, but as soon as you're outside of the orchestra, you don't see each other the same way. You don't see each other as often, and it can be very hard to connect back in with that family again.
Oh, certainly, yes. And this is what many people like about the orchestra, because because this is a family.
Yeah,
it's a very much of a social structure, and it has its own hierarchy, of course. Yeah, which some people like more and some people less. But it's like a family, and I feel like I'm a bit outside. I still cooperate a lot with musicians from Belfast, and I have good friends within the orchestra, and we always discuss, and it's really nice to talk about our points of view. And I think it's influencing us all, both parties, and they're always interested, like what I'm doing with my strange activities outside.
You're the path not trodden for them in some ways.
And I'm always looking still at what they are doing, and going to the concerts, and now looking from a different perspective at what I've been doing a few years ago. So we like to have a glimpse into each other's worlds. Yeah.
Nice. We've actually got a comment here, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce it.
Oh, that's nice.
So I apologise for my lack of Polish pronunciation. I'm assuming it's Polish.
Okay. So someone's saying that I'm talented. Thank you very much.
Well, my only exposure to your work was obviously through Sunset a couple of weeks ago, and then obviously what you have on Pin Sleep on YouTube and various places, and it's absolutely breathtaking. The performance that was up here, I think it was definitely my favourite of that particular night. No slang against Barry Joseph Cullen, but it was a really as the piece progressed, there was the beauty of it really unfolded very nicely, so we've talked about the orchestra a little bit. Let's talk about the other path that you're on now with Pin Sleep in a little bit more detail. So anything you can share about what's coming up for you, what you're doing, what's exciting you at the moment?
Yes. So I've been writing, releasing, and also since lockdown more seriously producing my music. So going from taking next stages of control, sort of creative control over my process, which is a great joy to me, because it really allows me to share what I want to do in a non-compromised way, and it's more and more like my vision, which is amazing. And so in the last months, yes, I've been working on my own album, which I'm hoping to release in the next months. But of course, once the music is written, then the whole process of getting it out to the world the right way begins. So there's going to be a period of definitely aiming for some funding, because that's the reality of an independent artist. Yes, you rely on your community, on the people who are with you. There is a lot of help from all sorts of organizations, like the Arts Council, yes, PRS, and this is actually quite great. One of the reasons also why I wanted to come here to the UK, because I knew that this DIY market is much bigger, and musicians can count on support. So definitely.
So that's not the same in Poland. That's one of the reasons why you came over to Belfast in particular, or? Well,
definitely there is support for musicians, but I would say probably my knowledge may not be up to date because I left quite a few years ago. But mostly help would be towards strictly like professional musicians, which is going through that one right path, and generally the markets and support for more indie artists, for this more alternative DIY segment, has been significantly smaller. So I knew from other friends, musicians, and from within the formations I work with, it's just much easier here in terms of this.
So it's one of the interesting things, because Belfast is trying to become a city of music, coming out of one of the 2023, I think, cultural bids. So there's this whole thing about Belfast 2024, about becoming a big world music kind of haven. Maybe I'm not up with the blurb of how they're advertising it. Are you thinking about anything for Belfast 2024? Is that are you kind of or were you even aware of that's coming up?
Well, I knew that there was Belfast was part of the UNESCO. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Music year, definitely, and yes, heard about some things coming up. Well, I'm definitely raising my activity as a performing musician. After a few years of being more drawn into production and in a way upgrading my life set and my performance, so I'm hoping to be a vital part of what's going to happen, and hoping to perform. So definitely, that's all very exciting, and I would love to be part of this.
Yeah, I think we'll hopefully be pitching some ideas to Belfast 2024. So there's some interesting ideas here coming up. I think maybe we'll find out. So in terms of taking kind of ownership or control of your own work as a producer, how does that differ than kind of the normal way an artist might kind of produce or finalize their work? How is it different? What's different about how you're kind of taking control now? That excites you, because you look really excited about the idea of it.
Yes, I am. And that's actually after a good few years of hesitation, because there is always this strange relation with music technology when you come from a strictly performer's point of view. Of course, there is also part of it as being a woman. We are working with music technology, so it's a lot of...
Is it more male-dominated as a technology?
Definitely it is, yes, but it's changing a lot. So I've been a part of quite a few women communities, and this has been a great source of inspiration. And especially like Home Recording Academy with Dr. Isabel Anderson, this has been an eye-opener for me. It was a course for women who want to go deeper into music production, and it has actually taught me that music production is my creative tool. So the way the process looked like before was that I was putting down ideas. I was writing lyrics or melodies, or just putting the song down. But then I was going in the studio and working with someone, with a producer, who is then further influencing the sound, and also the producer has all the VSTs, all the preamplifiers. So there is a limited creative choice that you can make once you are in a studio, because the time is expensive. So if you go to a studio for one day and you are exposed to all these different mics, options, reverbs, there's only as much as you can do. Whereas if you are at your own home studio, you can experiment. And not only this is helping the project, but it's also a great source of discovery. So it's just helping me to develop my music ideas and to go deeper and to hopefully make better music.
Yeah, I know from what we've done, it's often just a fact of having it set and ready for you. That allows you to jump into creativity. For those who are lucky enough to have a dedicated space or a space large enough where they can set all their equipment up, so they can just step into it rather than every day having to reset it, recalibrate everything. I'm sure it's
yes,
it's
and
so
that's what I really that's what I was working towards for many years, to actually have that space. And I moved from London 3 years ago, yes, to Belfast, and I finally, here is the first time I finally have my own space, my own room, which is my studio, and I'm slowly building.
Then for any artist who's still in London, come to Belfast. There's more space.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. It's nothing like in London, in those small rented rooms, where I had to always be like aware and conscious of how much sound do I make, and with this sort of experimental approach, like using lots of guitar effects, looping, electronics. That wasn't easy to actually practice at home. So yeah, I had to carry my stuff every week to the studio, and yeah, as you said, like put everything on and then back down again. And now I have this freedom, and I really, really enjoy it.
Brilliant. Is there any performances coming up that we should flag now for those watching?
At the moment, I actually had a few performances, and in the nearest month or so, I'll be more playing as a session musician, which is also part of what I do. There are some upcoming performances with the arborist.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So I'm lucky to work with Mark as a violinist, and at the moment, yes, I'm working on booking some next possible gigs as pin sleep. So hopefully something in the next months.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming down and having a chat.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. Aga is on Aga Olek as Pin Sleep on YouTube and on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes. Pin Sleep is the name to look for. Thank
Pin
you.
Sleep. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
We are got Handmade music coming back up every single month, every first Thursday. It is coming up next one on the 2nd of March. We have Cosmic Jam starting above us. It's our open mic night. You can probably hear it upstairs every so often. Please check it out. And thank you again.
Thank you.
All the best.